Hey, what's up? What's going on, you guys? You have now tuned into my Catfish recap. Guys, make sure that you subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Also, be sure to share this video wherever you like to share videos. All right, so we're going to talk about this Catfish, and it was a ridiculously crazy episode. Like, it was so different compared to what we're used to seeing. Like, this was called Open Investigation or something like that, and it was like literally an investigation that was going down with like somebody that was like an actual real official criminal. So, all right, so let's start off from the very top. So it was this woman, well, this girl named Roxanne. She liked this basketball player. His name was Chris, a.k.a. they call him Birdman. So it was Chris Andersen. And I think he played for Denver at the time, Colorado. So she said that she eventually ended up flying out to meet him. She had like a great weekend with him. And then like later on, somebody started like threatening her and ended up posting her nude photos. And at the time, she was only 17 years old. So that's like child pornography. That's like next level, you're going to jail type of crime. So she ended up telling her mother, and that's how the whole thing went down, where he actually lost his career because of what had went down. So what it turns out from what she tells us, that it was actually another girl named Shelly. She was the one who was like kind of like a filter for their messages. She would get the messages from Paris and send it to Chris, and then she would get the messages from Chris because she had made up 2 fake profiles there. Like, it was like totally, I'm like, girls, this girl's like a genius, like some type of mastermind. Like, these people can use this creativity to do so much more in life if they were to just like really just focus, you know what I mean? Because if you have the time, the energy, the patience to do all of this crap, I feel like you can definitely do something else with your life, you know, instead of doing stuff like this. She said the girl ended up blackmailing Chris, and then the girl went to jail. And the girl was scheduled to not actually scheduled. She actually recently just came out of jail. So now Paris is a little bit scared because of everything that went down. And like, this girl is like a real criminal, and she actually really posted her nudes online. So she just wants to make sure this girl like really never does this again. I also think she really felt bad about the whole situation, and that Chris kind of lost everything because of her. I think that's why Paris really wanted to put this story out there. And it's not really a Catfish episode per se. It was more so putting the story out there so he can kind of get exonerated out for everything that had happened. Because they were saying that he wasn't getting picked up by no one. Like, no one would hire him or anything like that. All because of this stuff that was, this is his new label. You're a child pornography person, you know? So it was like nobody was really trying to hire him or anything like that. He wasn't getting picked up by anybody. So following that, like I said, Paris just wants to kind of make sure that Shelly is no longer doing the things that she was doing before. They met up with Paris, and Max and Eve kind of get like her story face to face, and she just kind of says that the way that this all kind of went down was that she had liked Chris' page, and then that's when Shelly started to set up this whole thing. And she said that he was like a really nice guy. She did end up flying out there because the person, which was Shelly, ended up like telling her to come or whatever. She got flown out there, and she had like a really nice weekend with him. And it sounds like from what she said, they ended up doing a little something, if you know what I mean. And after that, she just went along her merry way, but she was still like trying to reach out to him. They were still having interactions, but then all of a sudden, like, this person that was supposed to be his cousin, which was Tom, which is also Shelly as well, hit her up with Chris, aka Chris, the fake Chris, talking about that they wanted her to go and become like some type of person that they were mad at this person that was a gamer. And they wanted her to go and steal the gamer's password so that she would be able to like hack into their account. So she was like, no, she's not going to be doing that. And that's when the person, which was Shelly, supposedly got upset and was like, oh, I hate you, and I'm going to post your nudes all over the internet. And that's exactly what they actually did. Oh, they also said they were going to kill and rape her as well. So, of course, she got nervous about this. And then she actually sent her a link showing her where these nudes were posted. And when Paris said that she looked at the link and she saw her pictures, it also had her phone number, her mother's phone number, as well as her actual address. So I'm like, that's crazy, because you know there are creepy people out there that will go to her house. And it's funny because I saw a Lifetime movie that was very similar to this exact situation. It was like it was pretty much the same situation. I don't have to say the whole synopsis, but y'all understand what I'm saying. And so it was so crazy. I was like, dang, I felt like I saw this before. So her mother got upset. Of course, they had to call the police, and they ended up arresting Chris, and they did like a whole investigation. And that's how everything kind of got brought into the light, because when they looked at his IP address and stuff like that, they noticed that it was connected to somebody else, and then somebody else ended up being the Shelly chick. They meet up with these dudes. They were like sportscaster guys called the Schuyler brothers, to kind of get a little more insight on the whole situation and what happened with Chris's career. And like I said earlier, it just kind of, because of the whole pedophile situation, him being labeled as that, boom, you're a pedophile. Now all of a sudden, no one wanted to pick him up. He wasn't getting money anymore, you know? And it's stuff like that be happening to a lot of these players. They get caught out there. But at the end of the day, it was her fault too, because she told him that she was 18. So I feel like although he got caught out there, he shouldn't really get in trouble for that. And once they see that he wasn't the person that posted the nudes, they definitely should have just left him alone, because that wasn't his fault. But it's crazy how people will always remember the bad, but they don't see when things get better. A lot of times they just, oh no, he's disgusting, he's the scum of the earth, you know, and just labels. Max and Eve, they meet up with the sheriff in Canada, and he kind of goes over the whole synopsis, the whole scenario with them once again. And they said that there was another woman in Texas that she ended up pretending to be that Tom guy that I mentioned earlier, and she kind of had this relationship going on with this Texas woman, and that's how she was able to like get the money transferred so nothing would be traced through her. So it was a whole lot that was going on. And he did say that she got like, I think 18 months or something like that. So she didn't get that much time. But he was saying something about like if she goes to the U.S. or Colorado, they're trying to pretty much like expedite it or something. So they're trying to put her in jail if she was to go to Colorado or to the U.S. So she definitely got to stay in Canada. Otherwise, she's going down. So Max and Neve, they had to go like 400 miles to Canada in order to try to meet up with her, like in the middle of nowhere. They literally had to like take another plane. It seemed like if I was in like maybe New York and I had to go to like another state or something like that. That's what it seemed like from the distance. 400 miles is a pretty long way. So yeah, they had to take a plane to go over there. And they did call her, and the voice that first answered the phone sounded super deep. And I was like, is she using some kind of voiceover or something? She's like, hello? And I'm like, no, that could not be her voice. Like, seriously? But then when they asked, oh, may I speak to? Then that's when he was kind of like, oh, I'm her husband one moment. So they're like, oh, she got a husband? Like, who would have thought, you know? Somebody who's such a loner, who's in the house, who's taking care of their mother, who would have thought that they would actually be married? Like, that's so odd to me. It was odd to me, too. So when they do speak to her, her voice sounded even worse than his. I mean, she sounded like she was being tortured. And she was just like, hello. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? And then she does agree to, like, meet up with them or agree for them to come by, which I was kind of surprised. But I guess she kind of wanted to put her story out there as well. So Shelly meets up with them. She also has her husband. They show her mom, who's actually bedridden. From what she says, she's been bedridden ever since she had her. So maybe it was like complications with the pregnancy or something like that. That's what it kind of seems like. So it's crazy how, like, you know, she's the mom, but she ended up being taken care of by her daughter. And I think the cousin or somebody else was in there too, and a little doggy. So now she's been taking care of her mom, she said, for like, you know, several years. I think she said like about 12 years. So I guess ever since she was old enough to kind of like do things or whatever, I don't know, but she said for 12 years, but I'm like, 12 years. But her mother, I know she did mention that she was bedridden ever since she brought her home, and she had said like 32 years or something like that, I think she said. So I'm assuming the girl's 32, but I'm not really too sure because she didn't seem like she was that old, but you never know. So Shelly, she says that the Texas woman, she actually did know her. She says that the Texas woman was actually like, I guess, like a friend of hers. But from what it seems, it more so looks like this Texas woman was actually manipulating her in a lot of different ways. The Texas woman was a person that was like, oh, she will negotiate the money, and she's stupid for getting only $3,000 instead of getting like a lot more because they had to split the money, and he's worth millions. So she said that the reason why she actually pled guilty to this is because at the time she was pregnant, and she also had her husband. They just got married recently, and they told her that she would only be doing house arrest, which is like everything that she thought would happen didn't happen. She ended up in jail, and on top of that, she ended up having a miscarriage. So it was like she ended up pleading guilty for nothing. Because Max and Eve did ask her, like, why, if you didn't do all of this, or if there was somebody else that was behind this, why did you take the whole entire rap for it? So to be honest, I don't really know if she's like telling the truth or not. We can't really tell. But if that was the case, that's kind of messed up. And hopefully, I mean, they look into it again, and this woman, she can go down too, because I feel like that's not really that fair, But I do feel like I feel like she kind of was brushing it off in a sense, because she feels like she got enough time for what she did wrong. But I don't necessarily know if that's enough time for everything that this guy had to go through, and he didn't really have anything to do with it. But I'm pretty sure he was a lot smarter after that. I mean, I would hope so, because that was serious. You know what I mean? Like, now you better check some verify people's age, verify their social security number. I mean, he got to do something else, because you can't be getting caught out there like that. And not just him per se, like a lot of these NBA people and people that have a lot of money, like actors, whatever, they definitely need to verify that they don't end up in a situation like this, because I've heard this happen before. You've seen it happen before. So after the interview was done, I mean, she ended up saying that she will never do it again. So I guess, she's on the right path. And from what I saw, how they do little updates, I know they said that Paris, she's still getting catfished by other fake profiles that are pretending to be her. But I guess once you have a certain look and you have a certain amount of followers, people are going to catfish you. So, I mean, it's just something you kind of have to be mentally prepared for, I guess. But when you're not used to it, it's nothing you can actually be really prepared for. You know what I mean? And Chris Andersen, he's now on, I think they said, the Miami Heat. So he's doing well. He's been exonerated. He's got his career back, which is awesome. A lot of people don't really get that. So he's lucky that he was able to get at least that much. And who else? Oh, I guess she's just trying to stay off the internet and try to just focus on like her family, her husband, and they're trying to move from where they live. I mean, they did kind of show their house on national TV. So if people put two and two together and the places where Max and Eve were driving, I mean, it would be pretty easy to try to find her, So, yeah, it would probably be a good idea for her to eventually move, or pretty soon now that this particular episode is out there. But, yeah, that was pretty much that episode. Thanks for watching, guys. I think next week's going to be kind of like a roundup of things, so I definitely won't be doing next week's episode. But thanks, guys. Be sure to stay fabulous, live free, and soar limitless. I will see you in the next one. Laters.